Hey guys, this is Shannon with Nearly Organic Noshing, and it has been a while since I have been steadily posting videos. And today I am going to be making a couple of ground beef meals. I'm just whipping together some sloppy joes for dinner tonight, and then I am going to make a meal for tomorrow night and one for the freezer of Salisbury steak. Now the recipe that I am using is from Kimmy from She's in Her Apron, and I'll make sure to link her recipe down below. We absolutely love this recipe. I do mine just a little bit different in a different order. So I'm going to show you how I do it. Now I have everything doubled. What I did is I had taken this big thing of ground beef out. So I'm going to be making sloppy joes, at least a double batch of the Salisbury steak, and then if I have any left over, I'll do a meatloaf. Now I have previously recorded my meatloaf recipe, so I will just link that in this video also. So let me go ahead and flip the camera around so that I can show you all the ingredients. I do have measurements for everything for the Salisbury steak. The sloppy joes, I don't measure anything, and it is different every time. So I'll just show you what I pulled out of the fridge and how we're gonna have sloppy joes tonight. Okay, so this is what I'm doing my sloppy joes in. I just have a bunch of chopped up onion in here. Actually, I need to throw a little oil in there and some garlic. I just tossed it in the pan. I usually wait to add my garlic in until my onions are cooked, but I was in a hurry, so I just threw it in there. I'll throw some olive oil in and get that sauteing up. And then once I have my ground beef and my onions and garlic and everything sauteed, then these are a few of the items I'll be adding. I'm probably just gonna add some ketchup, some hoisin sauce. This stuff is so good. Some crushed red pepper flakes just to give it a little bit of bite, tiny bit of barbecue sauce, some brown sugar, and I probably will throw in some apple cider vinegar, a little bit of salt and pepper. As I'm mixing it together, I'll show you how I do that. It's different every single time. Sometimes I use tomato paste, sometimes I use a different barbecue sauce. This just happens to be what I have in the fridge, and it's just Chris and I tonight, so this is what we'll be having for dinner. Hey guys, so this is my great big thing of ground beef. And what we have here is a cup of breadcrumbs, half a cup of onions. I'm gonna say this is well over 2 cloves of garlic. We really like garlic, really like onions. 2 eggs beaten, a teaspoon of Worcestershire, and then we're gonna have 2 teaspoons of salt and a half a teaspoon of pepper. And this is what's gonna be mixed into the raw ground beef to make into patties. Now for the sauce or the gravy, we're gonna use 4 cups of stock. This is beef stock right here, and you can see there's quite a bit of fat on the top, so I'm going to be skimming that off, and I might put a little bit in the dog's food, but then I'm going to throw the rest away. And then this is some homemade onion stock I did the other night, and because I know there's not going to be quite enough here, so I'm just going to add some onion and beef stock together. I think it is going to be delicious. And then I'm going to use 6 tablespoons of cornstarch and 6 tablespoons of cold water. And then I just have an onion sliced up, some more garlic, and mushrooms. And this is all going to go into the gravy. So I'm going to go ahead and start my sloppy joe mix, let it start browning up. And then I'll start putting all of my Salisbury steak ingredients together. Okay, so my ground beef is almost all the way cooked through and browned up. There's still a little pink here and there, but I'm going to go ahead and start adding my other ingredients so it will be able to just kind of marinate in together for a little while I am putting everything else together. So what I'm going to add to this is just a little bit of brown sugar. Just dump that in there. I do this purely by eyeball. I measure nothing when I make this kind of thing. And then we're just going to add some ketchup in. And then a little bit of the hoisin sauce. Stuff is really thick. Tiny bit of barbecue. All right, we just give this a stir, and I turn the heat down to low. Let's throw in a little bit of crushed red pepper. And then instead of apple cider vinegar, I'm using this Heinz Pepper Perfect vinegar. This stuff's really good and it's not super spicy, but it just gives it some nice flavor. And just a little splash of that. It smells so good. And then a little bit of salt and pepper. And this is down to low, and it's just going to simmer and bubble away. Let all those spices get in there together. And I might add a little bit of tomato paste to this. It looks like it needs that, so I'm gonna go grab a can of that. Okay, so I just grabbed one of these little cans, and I'm just gonna put some of this in here and see how that looks. All right, we're just gonna let this sit on the stove and incorporate it. I'm gonna go get started on the Salisbury steak. All right, guys, and you're gonna see me in gloves because raw meat and my hands just don't do well together. So I just kind of eyeballed 3 pounds and cut it. So I have my meat there. And to that, I'm just gonna kind of break this up a little bit so it'll be easier to incorporate everything into it. All right, so I have my cup of breadcrumbs, my a little more than half a cup of onions, garlic, my eggs, and then I'm just going to start smushing this together, and then I'll wash my hands off and add the Worcestershire and the salt and the pepper. Okay, I have it pretty much mixed. I'm gonna go ahead and add my Worcestershire now. Ooh, and some Worcestershire would be really good in my sloppy joes. So I'll probably just add a little bit to that also. And I really like Worcestershire, so personally I'm just gonna add a touch more. And then add the salt and the pepper, which is 2 teaspoons of salt and a half a teaspoon of pepper. And just eyeball it. I already have my pan warming up, so I'm just going to mix this in really well and start forming patties and putting them in the pan to start their pre-cook. I just want to brown them on both sides. I'm not trying to cook them all the way through. I'm just going to get them in the pan and get them brown. It's late, so I'm going to go ahead and make up Chris's dinner. I just lightly toasted a bun. There's sloppy joes with some deviled eggs, apples, and Watergate salad. I will link how I make my Watergate salad And I'm ready to go ahead and put another batch of these. There's that nice color on them. And I have probably 2 more batches to go through the pan, and then I will be able to go on to the next step. So these guys are about ready to come out of the pan. I have me a nice stack of them over there. There's still a little bit pink in the middle, and that's what I want. And I'm just going to go ahead and take these out, add them to the stack. Now, if I remember correctly how Kenny did it, she adds her onions and mushrooms on top of the meat. And then just cooks it for a few minutes and adds stock. I personally like my onions super cooked and my mushrooms. So I'm going to take all the meat out and I'm going to saute everything in here really well before I add my meat and my broth and everything back in. So I'm going to go ahead and get these out and get my onions and garlic and mushrooms in the pan. I am just going to saute these all down until they are brown and tender. Alright, the mushrooms and onions are softening up nicely and looking really good. I'm going to go ahead and add in my garlic. And let that cook just a little bit longer. Okay guys, I scraped a bunch of the grease or the fat that had risen to the top of this stock off. So I'm going to go ahead and start adding my stock in. Yeah, there's some in here, and that's okay. It's just going to give it flavor. And I knew I wasn't going to have quite enough. I'm going to go ahead and pop open my onion stock. All right, let's add in onion. And I'll probably add just a touch more because I really like a saucy, a lot of sauce, a lot of gravy, a lot of liquid. I'm going to let that come up to a boil. All right, it's at a nice rolling boil right now. And I'm going to go ahead and shut this off. And I have my 3 tablespoons of water mixed with my 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. I'm just going to add that in. And now I'm going to add my meat back in and let it simmer. Alright, this has simmered long enough. I'm going to go ahead and divvy it up into pans. The rest of my kitchen is almost completely clean, so this is the one last pan and stove I need to scrub down, so I'm ready to package this up, let it cool off, and see how many containers I can make out of it. Hey guys, here is everything. So, Chris and I already had our sloppy joes for dinner. There's enough here for a lunch or a dinner. So this is the meatloaf, it's ready to go. This is at least 2 meals. If it's just Chris and I, this is a freezer meal. This will be 2 meals, another 2 meals, and then dinner for us for 2 meals. Now, if the kids are here, of course, this would only be 1 meal. And then we can pair this with rice, mashed potatoes, salad, steamed veggies, whatever. But this is 2 that are gonna go into the freezer. If someone needs a meal and I need to run something to my parents or Chris's parents, I can grab one of these out. So that is, let me think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 meals out of 5 pounds of ground beef. Not too bad. Now that's just for the 2 of us. If the kids are here, definitely a lower number, but I'm going to go ahead and get these in the fridge so they can cool down, and then I will freeze these on a plate in the freezer until they're frozen solid, and then I'll take the plate out and I can stack them up. I'm going to go ahead and get everything wrapped up and in the freezer. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and be sure to check out Kimmy's video down below. It's where I got the recipe and we absolutely love it. All right guys, have a great night.